in the ice, like a huge entrance to a cave, but slanted going down. And he said, I think it was at least, Linda, 200 feet in diameter.
What happens when scientists stumble upon something truly astonishing in one of the most remote places on Earth? Well, you get groundbreaking discoveries as this mysterious prehistoric structure in Antarctica leaves experts baffled. Join me as in today's video, I'm going to reveal the incredible story behind this unknown structure that has scientists around the world buzzing. 1. Buried structure in Antarctica revealed. Back in 2018, Linda Moulton Howe, who had already snagged an Emmy, dropped a bombshell from a guy called Spartan 1. This guy, a former Navy SEAL, spilled the beans on some top-secret mission from 2003, where he and his crew stumbled upon a freaky octagon structure buried under the Antarctic ice, just a stone's throw from Beardmore Glacier, about 93 miles from McMurdo Station. They were drilling through 2 miles of ice, and then bam, there was this massive structure, as black as the night and oddly warm inside. Think cozy, 68 to 72 degree vibes, with lights glowing from the floor to the ceiling. The walls were all decked out in weird hieroglyphs, looking like some kind of Egyptian Mayan mashup, but not quite either. This place sprawled over 62 acres, and they had only scratched the surface. Linda had been down this road before, talking about other Navy whistleblowers and wild stuff, like hidden facilities and UFOs flying over the icy desert. Antarctica still had its secrets, mostly hidden under a mountain of ice. Who knew what else was out there? 2. A mysterious pyramid-shaped structure. Antarctica seems to have a massive, pyramid-shaped mountain right in the middle of the Ellsworth Range. This behemoth looks like it's been lifted straight out of Egypt, sparking a whole lot of buzz and some pretty out-there theories. Imagine a 2-kilometer square base, just like the Great Pyramid of Giza had everyone whispering about ancient civs and alien architects. But hold up, before you go claiming aliens did it, the science squad has weighed in. Turns out, this isn't some pharaoh's summer home or extraterrestrial Airbnb. It's a natural formation, a pyramidal peaked mountain shaped by none other than our relentless earth sculptors, glaciers. These icy artists carve up mountains into sharp, pointy pyramids, not just here, but places like Iceland and the Faroe Islands too. Yet, this icy pyramid, looming in one of the most remote spots on Earth, keeps the conspiracy theorists on their toes. Some are dead set on it being leftovers from a long-lost civilization from eons ago, when Antarctica was less ice cube and more beach resort. Despite these wild guesses, experts are sticking to their guns. It's all natural, crafted by ice and wind over countless millennia. 3. Captain Robert Falcon Scott's Discovery Hut. You wouldn't believe it, but Captain Robert Falcon Scott's old hut at Hut Point near McMurdo Station is like stepping straight into a time machine, straight back to 1902. This little wooden time capsule from Scott's first icy romp, the Discovery Expedition, was supposed to be a cozy hideout for him and his crew. Spoiler, it wasn't. They pretty much shivered their way back to their ship, the RRS Discovery, because that Australian prefab job was no match for the Antarctic freeze. Fast forward a bit, and who waltzes in but Ernest Shackleton during the Nimrod expedition from 1907 to 1909. He used the hut as a storage closet for all his Polar Trek goodies. Post-1917, everyone kind of forgot about the place until 1956, when some Americans stumbled upon it, finding it packed with early 20th century relics and even some prehistoric seal snacks. Now, thanks to the Antarctic Treaty and the Antarctic Heritage Trust, Scott's Discovery Hut is under wraps, being preserved so everyone can get a peek at what real polar explorer vibes were like. Trust me, it's better than it sounds. 4. The Endurance. The Endurance, helmed by the legendary Sir Ernest Shackleton during the 1914-1917 Imperial Trans-Antarctic expedition, was more like a sitting duck than a ship. Built in Norway and originally named Polaris, this vessel was meant for icy waters, but definitely not for wrestling with the hardcore pack ice of the Weddell Sea. In January 1915, the ice clamped down on the Endurance like a bear trap, and for 10 whole months, it had the ship in a death grip. Despite the crew's muscle and hustle, the ice was the boss, eventually crushing the ship's hull. On October 27, 1915, Shackleton played the ultimate captain card, telling his guys to abandon the ship before it took a dive into the icy abyss on November 21, 1915. But wait, the saga doesn't end there. Shackleton and his crew of 28 tough nuts weren't about to give up. They camped out on ice floes, drifting around until they could make a break for Elephant Island in lifeboats. Shackleton then pulled off a wild stunt, sailing to South Georgia Island to fetch help. And guess what? He nailed it, saving every last one of his men. Fast forward over a century, and in 2022, the Endurance was found chilling under the Antarctic ice, still rocking its name and the iconic star on its stern. What a monumental memento from one of the gnarliest survival tales ever. 5. Ancient humans lived in Antarctica. Let's get one thing straight. Antarctica was never a hotspot for any ancient human hangouts. Dream all you want, but humans didn't chill there in prehistoric times. No way to get there, no land bridges or anything, and let's not forget, the last time Antarctica was even remotely livable was about 35 million years ago. Back then, sure, it was a lush rainforest, not the icy wasteland we know now, but humans, Homo sapiens, popped up around 350,000 years ago, and our buddy Homo erectus about 2 million years ago. So, imagining them in ancient Antarctica is a stretch. Fast forward to the Greeks around 350 BC, especially Aristotle, who first toyed with the idea of a massive land down under. But proof? Nah, they didn't bother hunting it down or moving in. The first real human touchpoint with Antarctica was around 600 AD by Polynesians, likely the Maori, who might have bumped into the frosty place, as their oral histories hint at a mysterious southern land. 6. Marine fossils. About 299 to 251 million years back, some crazy volcanic shenanigans knocked off a whopping 90% of all critters on Earth. Talk about a rough day, right? We lost over 95% of our ocean buddies and more than 70% of the land gang. Some eggheads think this mass wipeout took a leisurely 15 million years, but others are betting it all went down in a snappy 20,000 years. So, there's this squad, led by the intrepid Gulbranson, with his pals, John Isbell, Rudolph Serbay, and Edith L. Taylor from the University of Kansas. They roped in Patricia Ryberg, who knows a thing or two about ancient plants, and Brian Atkinson, the newbie who digs Cretaceous seed plants. For Brian, it was his first chilly rodeo in Antarctica and only his second time camping. At the tail end of 2017, these 7 musketeers jetted off to the icy wilds, setting up shop between the Shackleton and McGregor glaciers. For 21 bone-chilling days, they hopped around in choppers, dodging sketchy blades. Despite the frosty odds, Gulbranson called it one of their best digs ever. Wild, right? 7. When did modern explorers discover Antarctica? Believe it or not, a bunch of European explorers, including the legendary Captain Cook, hit the seas centuries later, searching high and low, but never really hitting the jackpot when it came to spotting the Antarctic mainland. The big discovery moment for Antarctica is usually slapped on around 1820, although the history nerds can't even pin down who got their eyes on it first. The real action kicked off in 1821, when this ballsy sea captain named John Davis claimed he and his crew hopped ashore to chase after some seals. Fast forward to the late 1890s, and you've got more legit landings popping up, with ships getting stuck in the icy grip of Antarctica over the winter. Then came the so-called heroic age of Antarctic exploration, right at the turn of the 20th century. This was when the real daredevils and eggheads started throwing themselves into the frozen unknown, sometimes not making it back. The first real base was thrown together in 1903 on Laurie Island and is still ticking today as the granddaddy of bases. It wasn't until 1944 that the big boys set up the first long-term bases on the mainland, with a whole bunch of scientific teamwork exploding in the 1950s. 8. Meteorites on Antarctica. Antarctica is the hotspot for space rock hunters, with a whopping 45,000 meteorites already snagged from its icy grip. This place is a goldmine because of its chilly, dry conditions and vast stretches of blue ice, perfect for keeping these cosmic treasures well preserved and making them pop against the stark white backdrop. These dark visitors from the void are ancient, holding secrets from the dawn of the solar system around 4.6 billion years ago. Studying these rocks is like having VIP access to the early solar system's backstage, helping scientists piece together how planets and asteroids came to be. Antarctica is not just randomly littered with meteorites. They've got these special spots called meteorite stranding zones, where the ice and landscape conspire to bring these rocks up to the surface. Thanks to some slick satellite data and machine learning tech, scientists are hot on the trail of these zones, making it a breeze to scoop up more space souvenirs. With 45,000 finds already in the bag and an estimated 300,000 still out there, Antarctica's meteorite hunt is far from over. It's a race to unearth these hidden gems and unlock more cosmic clues about our universe and Earth's history. 9. 1-million-year-old DNA sample lurking beneath Antarctic seafloor. Tucked away beneath the seafloor, scientists have hit the jackpot with DNA from ancient micro-critters, some of it a whopping million years old. It is the oldest DNA ever found, hanging out in seafloor mud, topping a previous record from the Arctic's chill at a mere 650,000 years. During a 2019 deep-sea gossip sesh led by the International Ocean Discovery Program in the Scotia Sea, these researchers scooped up sedimentary ancient DNA, cetaDNA. And let me tell you, it's been chilling there, perfectly preserved, thanks to Antarctica's freezer-like conditions, scarce oxygen, and zero UV rays to mess things up. Most of this ancient genetic loot comes from diatoms, those tiny but mighty phytoplankton still bossing the marine food chain today. And here's the kicker. Around 540,000 years ago, when the Earth decided to turn up the heat a bit, these diatoms were living it up, multiplying like crazy. This blast from the past isn't just cool trivia, it's key to figuring out how today's climate chaos might shake up future ecosystems, especially in dicey spots like Antarctica. 10. Discovery of hidden world under Antarctic ice. You won't believe this wild discovery under the Larsen ice shelf in Antarctica. So, there's this underground river, right? Deep down, like 1,640 feet below the icy top. Researchers using a high-tech hot water hose just stumbled upon a whole secret world down there. At first, all they saw were these blurry flecks messing up the camera feed. But once they cleared up the view, boom! A bunch of tiny shrimp-like critters called amphipods were chilling in their jagged cave hangout. Satellite snaps had already hinted at some weird groove in the ice, tipping off these sharp-eyed researchers about the hidden river. The lead brainiac, Hugh Horgan, was like discovering a new world, and Craig Stevens, the ocean dude, was all hyped, saying these little swimmers prove there's some serious life action going on beneath the freeze. Everyone was jumping around, stoked about the find, because sure, people guessed there were secret rivers under there, but nobody knew they were packed with life. This digs deep into how much we don't know about Antarctica's spooky underwater haunts. 11. Factorian Deep. This adventurer, Victor Vescovo, went full-on Indiana Jones under the sea and came back with the sickest map ever of Antarctica's southern ocean. He found the deepest nook down there, dubbed the Factorian Deep. Yeah, a whopping 24,400 feet, 7,137 meters underwater, practically in the abyss. So, Victor was cruising around in his sub, the Limiting Factor, cool name, huh? And in 2019, he nailed it by charting the entire South Sandwich Trench. And where do you think he stumbled upon this watery chasm? Right under the nose of the 60th parallel, smack where the Atlantic meets the Southern Oceans. Flash forward. This map was dropped on June 7th in Scientific Data, thanks to the tag team of the International Bathymetric Chart of the Southern Ocean, IBCSO, and the Nippon Foundation GEBCO Seabed 2030 project. They've covered over 18.5 million square miles, doubling what those old maps showed, but we've still only scoped out 23% with the latest tech. And why should we care? Well, besides making sailing safer, this map is like a treasure map for science geeks. It highlights underwater mountains teeming with life and helps track how our planet's heat shuffles around underwater. 12. Antarctic Blooms. Those smarty pants at Brown University flipped the script on everything we thought we knew about the Antarctic ice. On November 17, 2022, they dropped a bombshell study in Frontiers in Marine Science, showing that phytoplankton are not just surviving under the Antarctic sea ice, they're throwing a full-blown party. Led by the sharp Christopher Horvat, these researchers weren't just shooting in the dark. They got their inspiration from similar freaky findings in the Arctic and decided to take the plunge. They decked out their deep-diving floats with all the tech to measure chlorophyll A. That's the magic green stuff plants use to cook food via photosynthesis. They even checked out light scattering to catch these sneaky phytoplankton in the act. And guess what? Almost every single float these brainiacs sent under the ice came back with tales of massive phytoplankton blooms partying it up before the ice even had a chance to say goodbye. They're estimating that over half of the Antarctic's chill lounge could be hosting these undercover raves. This is big news because phytoplankton are like the life of the ocean's food party, and if they're thriving in these supposed no-go zones, who knows what other critters might be crashing the party. Plus, they're sucking up carbon like it's going out of style, which is a game changer for how we think about trapping carbon down there in the cold. 13. Doomsday Glacier. Those underwater robots poking around Antarctica's Doomsday Glacier just served us a chilling scoop. Turns out, Thwaites Glacier, this beast the size of Florida, is melting into the ocean like ice cream on a hot day, and it's happening way faster than we thought. These bots, diving into the icy depths, found that Thwaites isn't only shedding pounds, it's on a full-blown crash diet, losing a whopping 50 billion tons of ice every year. That's double the meltdown from 30 years ago. If this bad boy goes belly up, we're looking at sea levels rising 3 to 10 feet globally. Thwaites is practically hanging by a thread, or should I say, by its fingernails, as the experts put it. The seafloor maps these robot spies brought back show that back in the day, Thwaites retreated way faster than it is now. So, if it lets go of its current icy grip on those grounding points, we could see a rapid retreat replay, and trust me, it won't be pretty. 14. The world's largest iceberg, A76A. The colossal iceberg, A76A, that mammoth block of ice roaming the seas like it owns the place, is now cruising straight into its icy grave. This behemoth, stretching a whopping 84 miles long and 16 miles wide, broke away from Antarctica's Ron ice shelf back in May 2021. It's been chilling in the Drake Passage, that deep slice of water between Cape Horn and the South Shetland Islands. Normally, these icy giants get swept away fast by the mighty Antarctic Circumpolar Current, ACC, that relentless river in the sea that encircles the globe. They're supposed to head north into warmer waters and just melt away. But not our A76A. Nope. After drifting a cool 1,250 miles, it's still mostly in one piece. But don't be fooled. Its days are numbered. Smaller currents are in on the action too, chipping away at its frosty edges. Although how they work, their magic is a bit of a mystery. Remember A68A? That record holder met a watery end thanks to these sneaky currents shifting out of the blue. As A76A edges further into the Drake Passage, who knows what's in store for this icy wanderer? 15. Largest fish nursery discovered beneath the Weddell Sea in Antarctica. The gang on the RV Polar Stern icebreaker was floored when they stumbled upon a whopping 60 million icefish nests chilling on the Weddell Sea floor, Antarctica. It's like hitting the jackpot in the frosty depths. Each of these ghostly guarded nests marks the biggest fish nursery bash known to humans. The sharp-eyed duo, Outen Perzer from the Alfred Wegener Institute and his ace grad student, Lillian Boehringer, caught sight of this wild scene using the hefty Ocean Floor Observation and Bathymetry System, OFOBS, a monster 1-ton camera they dragged behind their ship. Spread out over 93 square miles and cozying up about 10 inches apart, these icy bowls carved in the mud are home sweet home for about 1,700 eggs each. And here's the kicker. They found this mammoth colony in a toasty upwelling, perfect for the baby icefish to munch on zooplankton before hitting their breeding stride. Published in Current Biology, this find is more than cool. It's crucial, likely serving up a feast for the local Weddell seals. With the colony edges kissing this warm water buffet, the crew dropped cams to keep an eye on this bizarre underwater block party, planning a reunion in April 2022. 16. City-sized lake found miles below Antarctica's biggest ice sheet. Some brainiacs just hit the jackpot beneath Antarctica. After buzzing over the icy wasteland for 3 solid years, they've stumbled upon Lake Snow Eagle, tucked away under a whopping 2 miles of frost in the East Antarctic ice sheet's nosebleed heights. This hidden gem is sprawled across 143 square miles in a canyon, deep enough to hide your secrets. This icy behemoth isn't just another frozen puddle, it's a treasure chest filled with sediments dating back a mind-blowing 34 million years, way older than the ice itself. Imagine all of Antarctica's deep, dark history, from its icy birth through countless cold snaps locked up down there. Now, these clever clogs are all pumped to drill through miles of ice to get their hands on that ancient muck. They're even talking about setting up a polar station right on top of it. If they pull this off, they might unravel how old Mother Earth has been handling her chilly business and what all our heating up the planet is doing to her icy caps. 17. Simultaneous polar heat waves. Both poles just got absolutely roasted with heat waves like we've never seen. I'm not kidding. Temperatures shot through the roof, hitting record-smashing highs. It's wild out there. Over at Antarctica, on March 18th, things were heating up big time. We're talking 8.6 degrees above the norm, with Zucchelli Station hitting a scorching 44.6 degrees. Yeah, that's no typo. Meanwhile, Concordia Station was almost partying at a balmy 10 degrees, nearly 40 degrees above what it usually is this time of year. The Russian Vostok Station soared to a 0 degrees Celsius, That's 27 degrees Celsius hotter than its highest ever. Up north, the Arctic wasn't left out of the action either. Temperatures there were a sizzling 6 degrees above average, with spikes going all the way up to 50 degrees near the North Pole. Experts think an atmospheric river and a stubborn heat dome caused the Antarctic freakout. While it's tricky to pin this madness solely on climate change, scientists are banging the drum, warning us these crazy temps could be the new norm if we don't slash those greenhouse gases. And oh, on February 25th, Antarctica's sea ice hit its lowest since records began in 1979. 18 remains of 90-million-year-old rainforest discovered under Antarctic ice. 90 million years back, West Antarctica wasn't just a chunk of ice, but a buzzing rainforest, just like what you'd see in modern New Zealand. Researchers digging near Pine Island Glacier hit the jackpot with a sediment core that spilled the tea on this ancient, leafy paradise. Back when dinosaurs were in their heyday, this place had a mild vibe, with temperatures around 54 degrees. That's like Seattle weather, and summer days peaking at 66 degrees Celsius. Despite the sun dipping out for a 4-month polar night, the area still got rain on par with what Wales sees today. Wild, right? The core was packed with fossil roots and old-school plant stuff, showing these researchers in 2017 that Antarctica's old look was due to sky-high CO2 levels, somewhere between 1,020 and 1,180 ppm. No wonder it was so toasty. This ancient hotspot reminds us how potent greenhouse gases are and why our icy sheets matter big time today. 19. Long-lost Stone Age megastructure. Jacob Geerson, that sharp marine geologist from the Leibniz Institute, sailed the Baltic Sea in 2021, teaching some bright-eyed students on a field course. It was the dead of night, and they were mapping the seabed when, boom, they hit the jackpot in the Bay of Mecklenburg. They stumbled upon this massive stone wall, stretching a good half-mile. And it wasn't just any rubble. They called it the Blinker Wall, a relic straight from the Stone Age. At first, Geerson thought it was Mother Nature's handiwork, a mere rock formation. But no, after chewing the fat with some archaeologists, the plot thickened. This wasn't just a pile of stones, it was a meticulously crafted hunter's dream, likely put together by prehistoric folks around 10,000 to 11,000 years ago. They used this wall to corral reindeer. Imagine that. Archaeologist Berit Eriksson was a tough sell, skeptical at first, but even she had to admit this was the work of human hands. This find, it was a game changer, showing just how crafty those Stone Age ancestors were, building megastructures for their hunts. 20. A bygone Antarctic sea monster. While dinosaurs like the badass Cryolophosaurus ellioti were ruling the roost on land, the seas near Antarctica were swimming with their own brand of monsters. Take this beast of a plesiosaur they dug up on Seymour Island, part of the legendary fossil hotspot along the Antarctic Peninsula. Described in 2019, this chunky boy, likely from the southern hemisphere's Aristonectes clan, wasn't your typical slim-necked sea noodle. No, this fellow sported a sturdier head and a shorter neck, stretching close to 40 feet long and tipping the scales at a whopping 15 tons. This fossil wasn't just another set of old bones. It lived just a heartbeat, okay? 30,000 years before the monstrous asteroid smackdown, the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs and a whole bunch of other big critters, marking the end of the Mesozoic era. This hulking sea monster hints that the Antarctic waters were bustling with life, showing a marine ecosystem that was living large until the very end. What are your thoughts on this astonishing discovery? Share your opinions in the comments below. If you found this video intriguing, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content. Thanks for tuning in. Stay curious, and we'll catch you in the next episode.